We've known some of the things destroying our water bodies for a while now. How have we acted? How have we responded? Why are we where we are today? Well, we're being informed that access to potable water for domestic and commercial purposes, which is already poor, is set to worsen in the coming months and years. Very worrying situation. Lots of people looking for water all around Central region, some parts of the Northern region, and here in the Greater Accra region as well. I'm being joined by Ronald Abrahams, who is water resource principal, the basin officer. Is that it? Principal basin officer
of the
Water Resources Commission. You explained that to me. Hannah Kranting is Associate Executive Director with WACAM. That piece of documentary that you just saw has everything to do with her organization. This is one of their headaches every day. Good morning to you. Thank you for coming.
Good morning.
So perhaps I'll start with the Water Resources Commission. What exactly do you do?
We manage watersheds, and by managing watersheds, we actually do a good deal of awareness creation, education, training, and law enforcement. And then apart from that, we also embark on catchment rehabilitation efforts to ensure that the watersheds are in good ecological conditions so that we'll continue to enjoy the ecosystem services.
When you say watershed,
watershed,
what comprises that?
A watershed actually is charged and recharged by rain. And it shows a land area with some contour situation which will allow water to flow from upstream towards the downstream areas. And then we have communities in these areas. These are very large areas. We can describe it as a very large
do we still
valley.
have, I think that, I'm trying to get to the point, do we still have watersheds like that in Ghana today?
We have watersheds. We have watersheds in Ghana, and which is why the Water Resources Commission was set up. When we talk about watersheds, we are actually looking at the rivers, the lakes, the streams, and what we describe generally as wetlands.
Most of which are drying up, by the way.
They are not. Not all wetlands are drying up. When you look at the Volta River system, which actually covers about 70% of this country, it is not dry. When you get there now, you find out that we have a lot of water.
Can we say same about Densu?
Densu is dry at the upper reaches, but when you get to the down area where we have the Wager Lake, we have a lot of water. So
if we have a lot of water, but we still don't have access to potable water.
Well, it is about spatial distribution, and this is what we have been trying to engineer over the years. Currently, the situation is not that bad around the upper reaches where we have some interbasin water transfer from the Volta to less endowed water resource areas. We are treating water actually at the Volta area and then transferring it. We call it interbasin water transfer currently. When you look at this document I have here, this is the Densu River Basin Plan, the Integrated Water Resource Management Plan. There are some proposals in it which recommended that because of the ever-growing populations within the basin, we need to transfer water from other sources. And then even within the same basin, such as what I'm describing now, at the lower end of it, we have the Wager Lake. And the Wager Lake was actually built to also serve the purposes of irrigation that take a lot of water. And this is not happening because the state farms...
because it's still in the book.
The state farms are down, and we have a lot of water. What is treated for more than 50% of Accra, we could also pump raw water, to the Nsawam area, Nsawam Edrejir area, which will save this situation. These recommendations and then views are all there, and it is...
Who is supposed to act on that?
Well, it is a national affair. I will not put it.
Oh, there should be.
at
There
the
should. You
doorstep.
know who is supposed to
Yeah,
implement
I will not put it at
the
the
fine
doorstep.
things you have in that document of yours.
Well, I will not put it at the doorstep of Ghana Water Company, because sometimes some decision will have to be taken beyond the Ghana Water Company, beyond the Commission, to actually put in the infrastructure that will actually transport or transfer water from, well endowed places or the richer places to the less privileged
I have
areas.
a lot of follow-ups, but let me engage Madam Hannah Wusu-Kranting, who is with the Wassa Association of Communities Affected by Mining.
Wakam.
Yes, Wakam, Associate Executive Director. They've got brilliant proposals. They know how to solve the problem, don't you think?
I don't think they're on top of their jobs. I mean, if you look at the act that established the Water Resource Commission, and you look at Section 2.2, the act is Act 522 of 1996, Section 2.2 ABC. It spells out their role as a commission, that they should manage, they should ensure the utilization of water, and then they should be responsible for the general good of the water systems. And having three, we are lucky, we have three of such water systems in the country. The Volta that you talked about, we have the the southeast water system, and then the coastal water systems.
Southwest.
Southwest, and then the coastal. Yeah. And you realize that if you look at policy, they are also supposed to formulate policy. And the policy was formulated in 2007, which again detailed what their role should be. So when you want people in the mining sector to have access to water, it is their responsibility to ensure that in giving out such water bodies to mining companies, the communities, the Ghana community would not be starved of water.
So why do you qualify Ghana community?
Yes, because they are supposed to manage water resource for the country. And so in managing and allocating water for use, they should ensure that those who would just consume water will still have access to water whilst they give out water for industrial purposes. Yeah, so that's why I'm terming Ghana as a community. Yeah. So if this is your role, and then we see what we're seeing in the country today, then there are problems that needs to be solved. And so, as you said, we cannot blame Ghana Water Company.
But we can blame the commission.
We can blame the commission.
Can't also blame the
why
commission.
We can't blame
why
because we have to blame someone
we can
for
blame
this.
The commission.
Somebody has to be responsible.
We can blame the commission because that is their role. They were established to do just that. So if you allocate resources, you should ensure that there's equity, there's fairness and all that. So you cannot just prop up one sector of the economy and say that they should have all the comforts. And if you look at the Minerals and Mining Act, Section 17 of the Act, where once they have the permission from them, they can divert, impound, convey, use water, surface, groundwater, any form of water for purposes of mining. And we know that once you utilize water for mining, there's huge pollution. And that is also putting a stress on the water companies to provide us with potable water. I'm saying this because it was based on the establishment of the commission and then the policy in 2007 that we set our Millennium Development Goals. And in the goal, it was saying that by 2015, at least we should reduce the population of areas that are water stressed by 50%. And then by 2025, it should be 75%. The reverse is what we're seeing. So there's a problem of management. There's a problem of allocation. And so if we need to blame somebody, it is the Water Commission, Water Resource Commission, that should be blamed for that. What they have to tell us is if they don't have the logistics, we should know as stakeholders, we are the owners of the country. So if we have taxed you to perform some duty and we are not giving you the logistics, let us know.
Yeah.
If you are being influenced politically to take political decisions in the interest of politics and not in the interest of citizens, we have to know because we are the citizens. Yeah. So if they keep quiet and then we come to this stage where everybody is wasting water, destroying watersheds, killing water bodies in the name of development. I said development in quotes. Then there is a problem. And once they've not disclosed, we'll blame them.
Okay. Can I react?
You should take up the responsibility clearly, shouldn't you?
We are in charge of water resources. We manage the resources for the people of Ghana. Our priorities, communities such as Nsawam, Edwardri, among others, should have adequate water.
Okay, but
to
as
use.
of today, you know the situation in Nsawam and Edwardri.
Yes.
It's terrible.
It's terrible, and we cannot put this on the situation we find ourselves in, where people are polluting. What is happening is not about pollution.
So let's just take the
not
Nsawam area
about
alone.
allocating
What's the problem?
water. Oh, let me finish. It is not about allocating water to people and then giving priority to them and then allowing others to lose. It is not so. Watersheds, I mentioned earlier on, are charged and recharged.
I get it,
by
but
rain.
But we want to know.
And
We want to take the Nsawam area and
if we
find out
take-
what's the cause.
You know, countrywide, if we take the pollution out, and then we take all mining activities, legal and illegal mining activities, out of the system, and we don't get the requisite amount of rain, we will have the situation.
So what's the
we find
problem
ourselves.
in
the
Nsawam?
problem
It's rain.
as it exists is rain. It is not only in Nsawam Edwardri.
But how
When you
can
travel
we-
all the way, when you travel all the way to Koforidua area, Kwadum, you will notice that they are also in the same situation.
Okay.
I mentioned
Not to
earlier
cut
on.
you.
Yes.
This is, I mean, a country of a population of how many people?
25.
We are
27
how old as a
to
nation,
28,
and we want to rely solely on rainwater
Yes.
as water for the country.
What is happening is seasonal. There is supposed to be intermittent rains between the dry season and the wet season, and we haven't gotten them this time round. Over the past 10 years, as we monitored the water situation, we've had very, very favorable rainfall pattern, and this is what actually sustained the system. At any rate, we have also made recommendations because of such occurrences. You know, this is not the first time we are experiencing
So I guess
this.
we blame God then, because
No.
He has not
Yeah,
provided us with the
This is
rain.
not the first time. Yes, it is actually a natural trend which we'll have to put up with as I speak. Because if it hasn't rained, I've seen watersheds that are not polluted, that have not been given to mining companies, that have not actually experienced
they?
or suffered
Where are
any
they?
form of pollution. It's in country and outside this country also. Look at what's going on in Zimbabwe. Can we also blame the system for
No.
it? But
I mean,
they are even
a lot of
calling
us
for
are
food.
not. A lot of us are not even
You see?
privy to what's happening in
And as we
Zimbabwe.
speak- as
We
we
know how we are feeling in our own country.
As we speak, in other parts of the world, they have too much water and it's creating flooding
But
situation.
we still have a
when I was
challenge of we don't have water
When I was
here.
driving here, I looked at the skies and I said, this is
It will
promising.
rain. Yeah.
This is promising. Let's get 1, 2, 3 rain events, and the problem is
So
no
we're
longer
sitting
there.
down and waiting
We are not sitting down
for
waiting.
rain.
What we have done, which has actually saved some parts of the basin, the river basin, the Dinsu River Basin, is interbasin water transfer from a place called Otekpolu, which is in the Volta system, into the Dinsu River system. Within these areas, when you look at where the Volta is and look at where even the Wager Dam is, there's a lot of water in the Wager Dam now, clean water that can be treated. What we have to do is to put in the infrastructure to transfer water from that point to Nsawam.
So,
What
you know,
we are recommending now is that we need to put in the infrastructure and pump raw water not into the river system there, but into their plant so that they can treat.
But I'm also asked a very brilliant question.
Let me finish.
Let me ask. What do you need? What don't you have as a commission? Why can't
do
we
that,
undertake these recommendations that
We
you give
have
every day?
adequate resources and we have made recommendations. It will take a lot of resources to get this done. I will not say that government hasn't done anything at all. In the Kufuor regime, this Otekpolu plant was built and is transferring water. Plans are afoot to also do the same and solve the problem of Nsawam Edwardri. It is just a matter of time. And the situation as we see it now, if there is water and then we want to actually look at pollution. We can have a system where there is a lot of water, but it's only polluted. But the water is completely absent. And what we have suffered, or what we have to put up currently with, is no rain. No rain. There's nothing or little you can do about this. It is a natural trend. Let's hope and pray that the rains will come and this problem will be over. We shouldn't want to put the blame at the doorstep of institutions that have been mandated. We have been mandated, yes. Ghana Water Company is there. They have some resources. At least they were producing water before this crisis situation arose. You know, the water is just not available.
But I'm also
It's not available
I am
because
as
we
confused.
haven't got rain.
I can't believe that we're waiting. So God is to be blamed.
No.
We can't blame the commission.
no,
we can't blame Ghana
No,
Water.
I still
God is not
maintain-
giving
I
us
still
the rain.
maintain my position.
Okay.
If you are managing a resource, it's not just waiting on God to provide always. You see, I'm talking about a water cycle that is being destroyed in our environment. Why am I saying so? We are just destroying all our forest cover. And you know, in water cycle, you need vegetative
So it's
material.
not every resource has been destroyed.
No. I mean, what are we talking about?
Well,
The
okay, you
balance
finish.
sheet is that
Yeah.
we have a goal that by 2015 we'll reduce water-stressed areas by 50%.
Have we done that?
That's the question. We haven't.
No,
And now
we are in the process.
Yes, we can be
We
in
are
the
in the
process for
process.
100 years and will
Yeah,
not
we
be
are
there.
in the process.
But then the point that is making about God and nature and things like that. You see, nature is such that we have valleys, we have hills. The topography is different. And so once you distort the topography, once you distort systems, the soil systems, structures, it has a bearing on the rain, the amount of rain that you are going to harvest. The rain that will seep into the ground system for it to be circulated through evaporation, evapotranspiration. And so once you distort the system, it's a cycle. Then you are not going to expect rains. So we talk about climate change and all that. These are all man-made problems. And so if we continue to point our fingers at God, that because it did not rain, we didn't have water, then we shouldn't be managing anything at all. Because then when God provides, we will get it. But once you are in charge of management, that's why you should be able to foresee the outcomes of your interventions. So if the interventions are not working, what do you do to reverse the interventions? And so we don't continue waiting and then allocating resources indiscriminately without taking stock of what we have already, and then planning in such a manner that at the end of the day, even as we are giving out for industrialization, we have a backlog of resource that we benefit from and that future generation would also benefit from. I'm not sure in 2025, when we assess the situation, it will be different from what we are talking about today.
Maybe
So-
he knows what's happening in the process. So
then let's see, because we failed in the first target. And
he disagrees, by the way.
Yeah.
Well, we are in the process,
Yeah.
but we have not been there. So yeah, we have not been there.
And this is 2016.
This was 2016.
Yeah.
So
2016.
that's why I'm emphatic that we failed. 2015 is gone. And so we need to put in place mechanisms. But even as we do that, we should ensure that we do not destroy our environment to the extent that we destroy the water cycle, the water system, because
Emma,
that's what fits into the sheds.
Well, we
There's something you
cannot-
want to say. If
Yeah.
you can say that quickly, and
Quickly,
then I
yes.
want us to also explore the area of, so what
Yes.
do we do now? How do people get water?
The commission has done a lot in terms of trying to rehabilitate catchments, trying to do awareness creation, education, and even environmental engineering of the watersheds of Ghana. We have done a lot. When you get to Nsawam Medrejere now, you will find plantations, buffer zones along
But what
the
do they
water
translate
river.
into?
And you will at the same time find people doing the wrong thing, throwing garbage where they shouldn't. Some may be farming in areas but that is not to say that the basin has been completely destroyed, which is why we are not getting water. The situation as it stands now is to do with lack of adequate rainfall to recharge the aquifers, to create the flow regime that we need to produce water. That's the
so until we get the rainwater, people are going around with gallons looking for water. So what do we do?
Currently, Ghana Water Company is trying to supply tanker services to, a number of places. That is not enough. Others are also making their own effort to buy some water within the area. And we have made recommendations that are being implemented, but for a question of resources and then time. So we shouldn't look at the situation.
Who are your recommendations targeted at?
The recommendations are supposed to get the Ghana Water Company and then government, the ministry for that matter, to really put in infrastructure which will transfer water from other areas to other places. So
you just assess the situation, you make the recommendations, and they have to carry them out.
We have actually looked at the scenarios already and then made projections into some documents.
How old is this document?
This document is about, it came into existence in 2007.
Wow.
And we have to review it. So when you look at
how much of this
it's been reviewed. This is just
September
a final draft.
Okay, so how much of this has been implemented?
A lot of it, I would say, a lot of it, because we have
percentage-wise?
It recommends getting the public aware of certain things. We have done a lot of it. I'm not saying that every Ghanaian adult knows about everything, because no matter how hard you try to do the awareness question, you still find people. We have tried also to train other secondary stakeholders.
So I say in terms of percentage, how much
currently,
percentage-wise, how much have we
when you get to
done with this document?
As far as law enforcement is concerned, we have actually pushed, the establishment for the establishment.
So we've done 50% of this, 90% of that?
We have to determine that through research.
So I say that for the people who are going around with gallons, what do they do?
What we have to put up with currently is to find other sources. There are boreholes in Nsawam Edwardri that are actually alive, and then we have these tanker services which Ghana Water Company itself is trying to give to the people free of charge. And again, the proposals are there. We have had occasions where we said water could be transferred from the Volta Lake to the Nsawam Edwardri area.
Could be.
Water will have to be transferred from these areas. And we have also said that when you look at the situation in Weija now, Weija has affluence of water. Water could be transferred from there. But this is very heavy capital investment areas, which requires a little bit of time and planning, and then looking for the resources. So we shouldn't, I just want to disabuse the minds of every person who thinks it's about pollution, it's about allocation, it's about these mining activities we are giving priority to. No, it is not about allocation. It is just water shortage. We need to decouple pollution in all the forms.
And
physical,
when you say water shortage,
it's water
rainfall.
Shortage. Rainfall.
Okay.
It's rainfall.
Madam
I've just
Hannah,
I've just mentioned
finally, because I need help for those. I buy water.
Well,
I've always bought water. I don't even get it flowing through the tap.
You can afford to buy water, so
what do
then
people
you are
do?
even saved. If you go to communities, and then you have the rivers drying out completely, that is chaotic. That one is chaotic. So in Ghana, in Accra, in Kumasi, you may find some form of water somewhere. Others are not having that. Others get up. They do not sleep. I wouldn't say get up, because you don't sleep. You keep vigil for water, one bucket of water. And so that's how serious the situation. We can address this through policy, as he's saying. But I don't want a policy that will be on the shelf. I want a working policy. And as part of the policy, we should look at our ecosystem. Why is it that we used to have a lot of rain in my part of the country, Western region? We used to have plenty rainfall. Now, if you go to Takwa, there's no rain. Why is it so? I'm saying that rain has a lot to do with the topography. And once you distort topography, you don't expect rain. Once you distort the vegetative material, the ecosystem, you don't expect rain. And so in their allocation, they should look at all these things. I think it's time, Ghana, we do a real cost-benefit analysis of what we term as development options and see whether that at the end of it all is development. Because if you look at the costs that some of the interventions provide, now that he's talking about water transfer, it's capital intensive, and I don't think our economy can support that form of activity.
Sure.
But then our economy can take policy decisions that will curtail the unwanted destruction of nature,
sure.
and then nature would work and then find its level.
Okay.
But once we are not in the position to harvest lands, to harvest nature, as other countries are doing, then we should look at our policy choices, options.
Sure.
And I still want to put it at the doorstep of the manager. So if you are a manager, we have taxed you to perform a task for us, and we are not providing the incentive, the logistics. Let us know. But then if we are doing so...
Oh, they're okay, apparently.
As he's saying, they are okay.
Yeah.
If
Well,
we are
I
doing
wouldn't
so,
say we are okay, but we have some resources, and we are making the
So what's your
necessary
challenge as a commission?
necessary effort.
maybe
Our
we need
challenge
to know, yes.
is also to do with attitudinal change of people, because sometimes you chase people with even military...
When you say people, what? As in as citizens of Ghana?
Communities,
Don't blame
and
communities.
then groups, you know, we do, but I don't want us to actually look at
Oh, but we should
the
know.
current
Challenges
situation.
are
You know,
challenges.
I don't want us to
If
look
we
at
address the
if we
problem.
contribute to the problem.
Yeah,
Exactly,
the
we should
current
know.
situation, as we find it, you know, we shouldn't blame it on pollution and degradation.
So you still insist
and
it's
allocation.
rainwater.
It is
But the commission is okay with
But how
resources.
do the rains fall?
What bring rain is the rainstorms, or what we could also call in geography or meteorology as monsoon winds. If they haven't come our way, the way it
But we
should,
haven't done anything as a people to distract that cycle.
yes,
Have
but
we
El
not?
Nino is in
Have-
is in the system. El Nino, and we are not isolated. You know, in this matter, it is a neighborhood
All right.
issue,
So-
and we have to put up with it until. And what we are saying is that we should re-engineer communities. We should environmentally engineer our environment in a way that when we encounter such dry spells, we'll be able to conveniently
Whose responsibility is that?
transfer water.
Whose
It is-
responsibility
it
is that?
The
The commission.
responsibility of government.
There you go. All right, we'll have to leave it here
It is the
because of
responsibility
time.
of government.
I'd like
so
to
that
say
we
thank you for your
transfer
time.
water from, you know, other places too, to save
Okay. All right, we'll leave it
situations in
here
other
to
sites,
be
you know.
continued. Until
Yeah.
then, a lot of people are still looking for water. Ronald Abrahams is the principal basin officer. So the fact that some basins are drying up, that's like his responsibility direct. He's with the Water Resources Commission. Madam Hannah Owusu-Koranting is Associate Executive Director for WACAM. I'm grateful for your time.
Thank you.
Stay with us. We've got talk coming right after this.
Yeah.